Hey, I'm Mark. Hey, let's go. Get in here. Time for class. This period, we're going to look at one of the most controversial TV sitcoms ever produced. Britain's Heil Honey, I'm Home. So close the door. Why? Because I really don't want people to know I'm talking about this show. Oh, and I'm a history teacher, and today I'm going real rogue. So on September 30, 1938, British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain returned from Munich, Germany, exclaiming, "Peace in our time," after signing an agreement with Adolf Hitler, allowing Germany to annex the Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia, with a promise from Der Fuhrer that this would be his last territorial demand. Chamberlain was hoping that a policy of appeasement would finally bring peace to Europe. On March 15, 1939, though, German tanks began rumbling through the entirety of Czechoslovakia, making it the latest victim of the expanding Third Reich. Neville Chamberlain, who had promised peace in our time, was now forced to resign from the prime ministership of Great Britain in humiliation. In September 1939, Germany invaded Poland, and World War II was on. Oh boy, true story. On September 30, 1990, exactly 52 years after the Peace in Our Time speech, television viewers in Britain were given a treat. The debut of a new television series, a situation comedy called Heil Honey, I'm Home. Yeah, no, not Hi Honey, Heil Honey. Heil Honey, I'm Home aired on satellite television channel Galaxy, part of the British Satellite Broadcasting. Written by Jeff Atkinson, the story centers around, yes, Adolf Hitler and Eva Baun, who live in an apartment building in 1938 Berlin next to their Jewish neighbors, Arnie and Rosa Goldenstein. Hitler and Eva have little in common with their historical counterparts, playing more stock sitcom husband and wife. The pilot begins with Adolf Hitler entering his apartment to the applause of the crowd, then raises an arm in his Nazi salute, exclaiming, "Heil Honey, I'm home," a la Ricky Ricardo's "Hi Honey, I'm home." He announces to his live-in mistress, Eva Baun, that he's having British Prime Minister Neville Chamberlain to dinner. Not wanting his meddling neighbors, the Goldensteins, to mess up the visit, Adolf tells Eva to keep the news from Rosa Goldenstein. "When I invade Poland, who'll be the first to know? The Poles? No, Rosa Goldenstein." Eva can't keep a secret about Neville Chamberlain, like Rusi Ricardo or Alice Cramden, and she blabs the news out anyway. Rosa invites herself and Arnie over, hoping to get her niece a date with the Prime Minister. "Think good thoughts," Hitler replies. "Poland, the Sudetenland, France." Attempting to get rid of them before the Prime Minister arrives, Eva plies Rosa and Arnie with alcohol, but all the neighbors do is get drunk and not leave. In the meantime, Adolf has gone to pick up Chamberlain, whom the show's writers have made into a doddering old man who continually chides Hitler for being a naughty boy. The two return to the Hitler's apartment, finding Eva still entertaining the drunken Rosa and Arnie. Chamberlain and Hitler end up in the kitchen, where Chamberlain shows Hitler the Peace in Our Time agreement. When Chamberlain is not paying attention, Hitler picks his pocket and hides the agreement in the refrigerator before they can go back into the living room. After some conversation, Arnie goes into the refrigerator and returns with some snacks and the Peace in Our Time agreement, exposing Hitler's misdeed. Hitler signs the agreement with a wink, and somehow the group ends up leading Chamberlain in a conga line through the living room. The show ends with a sweet kiss between Hitler and Eva, a la Ralph Cramden telling Alice, "You're the greatest," at the end of The Honeymooners. Applause and roll credits. Television historian Marion Calabro called Heil Honey, I'm Home the world's most tasteless situation comedy. Haim Pinner, Secretary General of the Board of Deputies of British Jews, described the pilot as being in very bad taste, adding, "We are against the trivialization of the Second World War, Hitler, or the Holocaust." And this certainly trivializes those things. It's very distasteful and even offensive. The show was listed at number 61 on Channel 4's 100 TV Moments from Hell. Some commentators suggest that the show's crassness was intentional. It was a parody. David Hawkes, a professor of English, cited the show as a heavy-handed concept, but failed because it disastrously exceeded the limits of irony. Jeff Atkinson, writer of the show, contends that the aim of the pilot episode was not to shock, but to examine Chamberlain's appeasement of Hitler in 1938. He admits that the satire didn't translate well as he has intended it. When asked about the furor over the show, he noted that 3/4 of the cast were Jewish, and they did not consider the concept controversial. In another interview, Atkinson defended the story, saying, "I like big, high-concept shows that take a risk. When they work, you can carry them off with a real flair. I think if we got it right, it would have been fantastic. And I'd rather that than some sitcom about a 30-something couple that hasn't really got anything to say. Our motives were good. If we were trying to make fun of the Holocaust, we deserved that hate. I never felt like we were trying to belittle that at all." Atkinson compared his story to the Broadway play The Producers. The audience is aghast that someone is making a show about Hitler, then they start to laugh. In Heil Honey, they never got to the point where the crowd figured out that they could laugh at all. Heil Honey I'm Home is a spoof, not of the Third Reich, but of American situation comedies produced between the 50s and the 70s that would embrace any idea, no matter how stupid. The title, the plot, the dialogue are corny. Characters are applauded whenever they walk onto the set. Look past the offensive veneer, and you can see how Jeff Atkinson was exposing a formula that most American sitcoms followed with little alteration. 1, create a couple. Let one play straight to set up the comedic antics of the other. That part of the formula goes back to the first great TV sitcoms, The Honeymooners and I Love Lucy. Change the dynamics slightly, make the husband a bigoted white guy from Queens, and you have All in the Family. Make the couple wealthy African-American business people, and you have The Jeffersons. Make the couple into young female bottlers at the Schatz Brewery, and you have Laverne and Shirley. Make them 2 divorced men, one a slob, the other one a clean freak, The Odd Couple. Make one an alien, Mork and Mindy. Make one a genie, I Dream of Jeannie. Make one a witch, Bewitched. Number 2, put them in close proximity to intrusive neighbors. The Nortons, the Mertzes, Samantha's mother, Endora, Archie's son-in-law, Meathead, Lenny and Squiggy, Schneider the handyman on One Day at a Time, the Ropers and Ralph Furley in Three's Company. The formula was repeated with great effect throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Jeff Atkinson wanted to see if it would work, even the most obscene case. Eva Baun played straight man to Adolf Hitler's comedic antics. Put him in an apartment in Berlin in 1938 and give him intrusive neighbors and, oh, by the way, the neighbors are Jewish. Even the plot of the pilot episode was formulaic. How many times have we seen a special guest coming to dinner and it gets ruined by someone else's intruding? 11 episodes of the show were written and 8 were in production. They had created a new cartoon intro in the vein of I Dream of Jeannie. Then, British Satellite Broadcasting was acquired by Sky B, which immediately canceled the show before they could get into later episodes. Like one episode featuring Joseph Stalin and a Christmas episode with Hermann Göring. I have no idea. Well, let's put this in its historical perspective. What was going on in 1990 that a network would greenlight Heil Honey I'm Home? The 1980s saw the innovation of cable and satellite television, where viewers went from only a few channels to scores of options. Networks had to compete for eyeballs. With cable TV, which produced more lurid shows than Alf or the A-Team. In the US, the upstart Fox network attracted viewers by broadcasting more cutting-edge shows like Married with Children and 21 Jump Street. In both Britain and the United States, networks had to push the envelope to attract viewers, and Heil Honey I'm Home definitely tried to do that. On the international scene, Germany was in the forefront of everyone's mind in 1990. The Berlin Wall had just come down, and Germany was in the process of reuniting. Some in Europe expressed the fear that a unified nationalistic Germany might start Europe down the road to another war. At the same time, communism was on the decline throughout Eastern Europe as the Soviet Union lurched towards the trash heap of history. And if communism was losing, then fascism was winning. In Great Britain, many of the policies of British socialism, the welfare state, were being rolled back under the policies of the Iron Lady, the nationalistic Margaret Thatcher, a close ally of Ronald Reagan. It seemed in 1990 that fascism was on the mind of many Britons. Why not celebrate or mock the return of European fascism with a show starring history's most infamous fascist? Using Hitler as the main character in Heil Honey I'm Home exposed a problem with how the public approaches the historical Hitler and Nazism. The show's writer, Jeff Atkinson, stated, "I worried that Argument would be that you can't make fun of Hitler, but he cries out for it. If you have a monster like that and you can't make fun of him, then we've made even more of a monster. Actually, the opposite is true. When we only see Nazis as Colonel Klink or Sergeant Schultz or the gang that can't shoot straight in the Indiana Jones movies, what are high school students supposed to make of the Nazis? They become the punchline to a joke instead of being recognized as the thugs that murdered 9 million people. It does a great disservice. So, did you see the one episode of Heil Honey, I'm Home? Was it as offensive as people made it out to be? Should we be making shows with characters like Adolf Hitler, or Joseph Stalin, or some other murderous dictator? Let me know in the comments below. I would love it if you would like and subscribe to History Teacher Gone Rogue. I want to thank my producer, Casey Moulton, and Nicole for doing sound this time. Also, thank Mr. Brent Allen for letting us use his studio here on the campus of Columbia High School. I had fun, but I won't quit my day job. And next time you're watching a really bad TV show, and there's plenty of them, remember me. I'm Mark Haggard. I'm a history teacher, and I've gone rogue.